Okay, guys. Alright, lads. So we're going to practice some of these for our test on Friday. Where we're going to practice some of these. So let's try this out. Equation of the circle is x squared plus y squared minus 4x plus 2y minus 4 equals 0. Point A is the center of the circle. The line L is a tangent at the point T, as shown in the diagram. The point 5, 8 is on L. No bother. Find B to T. Find the length of B to T. Alright, I'm going to find out as much information as I can about the circle first. I'm going to have x squared plus y squared minus 4x plus 2y minus 4 equals 0. Now, I'm inclined to use the formula, the g squared and f squared formula here, because it's already all multiplied out. So I'm going to use this formula here to figure out what's going on. Then I'm going to use minus g minus f to find the center. Then use g squared plus f squared minus c to find the radius. So all that seems relatively easy. So let's try this out. So I'm going to get a squared plus y squared plus 2gx plus 2fy minus c equals 0. And what we can say here is that 2g equals minus 4. And then we can say that 2f equals 2. So what we can say then is that 2g equals minus 4, g equals minus 2. Then we can say 2f equals 2, and then f equals 1. Center of the circle point A is minus g minus f, according to your log tables, which obviously you're allowed to use in the exam on the bottom of page 19. And what we'll say there is that we'll go for a center of, minus minus 2 and minus 1. So it's going to be a point 2 minus 1. So A is the point 2 minus 1. Alright, happy days. Now, what's the radius? Well, let's find out what the radius is. Radius is, once again, I'll just go to my notes here. G squared plus f squared minus c. So g squared plus f squared minus c. Days, and a square root sign there as well. So let's find out what the radius is. Radius is minus 2 squared plus f squared minus c. And we know that c is 4. Again, checking my notes. Oh, it's actually plus c at the end. So almost made a ridiculous error. So c actually equals minus 4. So it's going to be minus 4, which will be plus 4. Okay. And then we're going to get 4 plus 1 is going to be square root of 9, which is 3. So the radius is 3. So the length of here to here is 3. Now, see, what I'm thinking is that this is 90 degrees, and I could use Pythagoras Theorem. See, I'm meant to find out what b to t is. So I can get the distance of, oh, I already have it. Well, this is much easier than I thought it was going to be. I can use the distance formula for coordinate geometry to find the yellow line. I know the green line because it's the radius. And then what I can do here is I can go for the pink line, which is this one here. And we can do Pythagoras Theorem to find out the pink line, which will answer the question. Very handy. So I'm just going to get rid of all this, and we'll try it out now. All right, distance formula, coordinate geometry is square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared, and that will equal the distance of A to B. So call that x2, y2, x1, y1, and long and behold, we're going to get a 8. Oh, sorry, x is first. We're going to get 5 minus 2 squared And then we're going to get 8 minus minus 1. So minus minus 1 is plus 1 squared. Put all that into the calculator. Don't really mess around too much with this. So we're going to get 5 minus 2 squared plus 8 plus 1 squared. And we get 3 root 10. Okay. Now we're going to use Pythagoras Theorem to find the distance. For argument's sake, we'll call it any letter not in use, m. Okay. So what we're going to say is that 3 root 10 is the hypotenuse. So we're going to say 3 root 10 squared equals 3 squared, which is the green line, plus m squared, which is the pink line, which is what we're looking to get. B to t. Now, what we're going to get when we multiply that out is 3 root 10 multiplied by 3 root 10. I'm fairly certain it's 90. 3 root 10 by 3 root 10 is 90. Equals 9 m squared. 81 equals m squared. And m will equal 9. So the length of BT equals 9. Alright guys, that's the first one done. Now part B. Two circles C1 and C2 have centers on the x-axis. So their centers are on the x-axis. Each circle has a radius of 5 units, or equal to 5. The point 1,4 lies on each circle. Find the equations of C1 and the equation of C2. Okay, that's interesting. Go and draw a diagram. Try and think about this. Right, now it might not look like this, but this is the picture I'm sort of getting in my head. How'd you get 1,4? They have centers on the x-axis. So the center of the circle has to be on the x-axis. They both have 1,4. 1 across 4. Oh, they're allowed to overlap, sure. They don't have to. That makes sense. So what I'm thinking of is something like this. Now I'm just gonna go back a step until I get 1,4 perfect in my line. So I'm thinking something like this. 1 across and 4 up. There's 1,4 there. The other circle comes in, no matter where I put it, and it also has 1,4. Now they're both radius 5, so that isn't accurate. I need to obviously do another one. Clone and one along the line. This is what we're looking for. Okay. So, but obviously you haven't got the technology to do this in the exam, all right? And there's two centers going on here. Like the first one, and then the center, the second one. So there's two centers, different centers going on. But what we know about these two centers is what we can call one of them A0, the other one B0. So center of C1. C1 has a center of A0 and C2 has a center of 0. Right, that's what we know so far. Okay, we both know they have a radius of 5 units. That's okay. Point 1,4 lies on each line. I'm inclined to go for x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. All right, and let's see what I can determine from this. Now, this could be the wrong way. We'll try it out anyway. No harm in trying. Now, r is 5, so 5 squared is 25. Now, in both cases, we don't know what the x value is. So a and b, we don't know what the x value is, so we'll just leave that there. Now, the h value is if you go to your notes, your h value is the x coordinate of the center, and the k value is the y coordinate of the center. But the deal is we know the y coordinate is 0. So we know that k equals 0, and we'll just put simply h equals h because we don't know what h is. H has two values. H is a and h is b. So we're hopefully going to find out what they are. Then we have y minus squared. But the deal is we know a point on these lines. So example, if I gave you a question earlier, something like this, x squared plus y squared equals 25. And I told you the point 4, 3 is on this circle. What happens when 4, 3 is on this circle is when you replace x with 4 and y with 3, it balances the equation. So because I'm told the point 1, 4 is on both circles, this means that I can replace x with 1 and y with 4, and it should still balance. So that's what I'm hoping for here. X with 1, and then y with x with 1, x with 1, y with 4, and then I'm going to square this out, and we're going to see what happens. We're going to get 1 minus h multiplied by 1 minus h. When you multiply that out, you're going to get 1 minus 2h plus h squared. 4 squared is 16. That equals 25. Going to move everything over one side. We're going to get h squared minus 2h. We're going to get 70 and take away 25, which is minus 8. And then we're going to get h, what's it, h minus 4 and h plus 2 equals 0. And we're going to get h equals 4 and h equals minus 2. So the two centers of the circle are minus 2, 0 and 4, 0. What does it want from me? Find the equation of each circle. Alright, no bother. The equation of each circle. Well, what we said earlier is it's x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. We can leave it like this if you want. No, that's h and that's k, so it's going to be x plus 2 squared plus y squared equals r squared, which is 5 squared, which is 25. And then the next one is going to be x minus 4 squared plus y squared 5. Now, if you had a small bit of time in the exam, you could sort of check this answer out slightly, and I'll show you how. Because you can draw pretty accurately, if I'm being honest. So let me show you what this diagram actually looks like. Now, one of the centers is minus 2, 0. Minus 2, 0 is located here. And if I make that a radius of 5, which is quite simply just 5 across, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there it is there. And see the way it goes through the point 1, 4? Then the second circle would be 4, 0, which is this one here. Once again, if I make it a radius of 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there you go. Two circles we were talking about. Now you could draw that in an exam. There's nothing stopping you. You don't need software to do that. So that's how we knew that we actually got this one right. So these are your two equations of your circles. Okay, happy days. How long did that take me? 13 minutes. Alright, let's keep going. This is that was the 2020 paper. This is the 2019 paper. The point minus 2k is on this circle. Find two values of k where k is an element of z. So k can be a positive or a negative number. Replace the x value with minus 2. Replace the y value with k because it specifies it's on the circle. So it's going to be minus 2 squared. Then it's just going to be k minus 3 squared equals 65. Multiply that out. Minus 4 squared is 16. We're going to have a k minus 3 multiplied by k minus 3. So we get k squared minus 6k plus 9. Take away the 65 equals 0. And we get what we can get here is an equation which is k squared minus 6k, 25 take away 65, which I hope is minus 40, and then we'll find out what do we get? K minus 10 and k plus 4 equals 0. As you can see, I'm riveted today, pumped for this maths class. So 10 and minus 4, lads. 10 and minus 4. Now, always check your marking scheme. I believe I have a marking scheme going on here. There you go. 10 and minus 4. Okay. Look, all good. That's it. That's an easy way to do it. Now, let's move on. Next thing I want from me. Okay, that's it. Part B, probably. The circle S is in the first quadrant. The first quadrant means all x and y's are positive. So, basically a fancy way of saying x, y, element n. Natural numbers, or including 0 though. It touches both the x and y axis. The line T, which is 3x plus 4y plus 6, is a tangent as shown. Find the equation of S. Now, if you go to exercise 11.7, circle touching the x and y axis. Okay. What you know is that there's a rule here, and when the circle touches the x axis, it's g squared equals c. When the circle touches the y axis, it's f squared equals c. Or when it touches both the x and the y axis, I think it's g squared equals f squared equals c. Okay, so we'll know that if it touches the x and the y axis combined, it's actually both of them together. It's going to be g squared equals c and f squared equals c. So we know that straight away. That's a good start. Unfortunately, that's not in your notes. G squared equals c, f squared equals c. So if you imagine this, because the circle is in the first axis, it has to be something like 3, 3, 2, 2, 4, 4. And let me explain why. Because the distance from here to here has to be the same from here to here. The radius is the same in any directions. So that's why you have g squared equals f squared. Or quite simply g equals f, because we know they're both positive. Usually be worried about whether it's like, let's say it was in another quadrant, it could be minus 3, 3. But in this case, we don't have to worry about that because it's in the first quadrant. Okay. And what's great about this is that we also know that the radius here would also be 3. But we don't know it's 3. That's the problem here. But we do know it's minus g minus f, and the radius equals the absolute value of g. So, once again, that comes into your CJ Fallon notes here. R equals the absolute value of minus f and the absolute value of minus g. So it's actually minus f and minus g. Okay. Now, I'm thinking I'm going to use the closest approach of a line method, as in, those of you that don't remember this, if we go back to our notes here and we just go up 1 or 2 bits. This one here, distance of x1, y1 to the line ax plus b plus c. Okay, and we can do this in terms of g. Okay, so distance equals ax1 plus by1 plus c all over the square root of a squared plus b squared. Don't worry, I wouldn't have seen this either. I'm a bit rusty, and you'd be excused for not knowing how to do this the first time around. The main thing before the leaving cert is you just do lots of exam questions and you familiarize yourself with as many tricks as possible and refresh yourself closer to the exam date. Now, What we know about this formula is we use the line. So there's the line. The A value is 3, the B value is -4, and the C value is 6. And it is a radius distance away from the center of the circle. Okay, so that's fairly evident. Okay. Now, what are we going to put? That's minus G minus F, but we know that F equals G because it's in the first quadrant, so we can call it minus G if you want. Now, the reason why we're going to call it minus G is because you don't want two variables, you only want one variable in this equation. Okay, because the distance is actually going to be the absolute value of minus G. You could do all this with F's as well, it wouldn't really matter. And then we're going to square both sides anyway, so everything's going to come up positive in a few minutes. So it's going to be 3 times minus G plus, minus 4 times 3 times minus G minus 4 times minus G plus C, which is plus 6, all over the square root of A squared plus B squared, which is 3 squared plus 4 squared. Now, we're just going to keep it here for a second until we whittle this down. Minus G plus 4G minus 3G plus 4G is just 1G. So it's going to be G plus 6 on top. And it's going to be square root of 25 or 5 on the bottom. Now I'm going to square both sides. I don't like dealing with this absolute business here. I'd just rather square both sides and get it over and done with. So what we're going to get is G squared equals, it's going to be G plus 6 multiplied by G plus 6, which is going to be G squared plus 12G plus 36 all over 25. Bring the 25 up and we're going to get 25G squared equals G squared plus 12G plus 36. Bring it all over one side. 24G squared minus 12G minus 36 equals 0. Remember, G has to be positive because it's in the first quadrant, so just bear that in mind. Divide everything by 12, so we're going to get 2G minus 1G minus 3 equals 0. Then we're just going to get 2G. It's going to be a plus minus situation here, so I think it's going to be minus 3 and plus 1. So we're either going to get G equals minus 1, or we're going to get 2G minus 3 equals 0, and when you work that out, you're going to get G equals 3 over 2. So I believe this answer is actually going to be 3 over 2. Actually, wait a second. No. Look at this. Sorry, I almost made a bad mistake here. The center of the circle is defined as minus G minus F. So if I use a positive answer of G, which is 3 over 2, if I use 3 over 2, the actual center is minus 3 over 2 minus 3 over 2. So I'm actually, in this case, I'm actually looking for the negative number, which would be minus 1, because minus 1 is the G value. So the minus G value would be 1. Okay, so as always, just check your stuff when you're doing this. There we go, minus G equals 1. Center is 1, radius of 1. That's easy enough. So we've got that. Radius is the power of minus 1, which is radius is 1. So we have what we need to get the formula for S. Formula of S is going to be, I'm going to just use the x minus h method here. So it's going to be x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, and then I'm just going to get x, so hk, h is 1, k is 1, so it's x minus 1 squared plus y minus 1 squared equals 1 squared, which is 1. And that's your question done. Once again, always check your work. See the R, it can be either or these two answers, so both of them are allowed. No big deal. And there's C equals G squared equals F squared. There's another way of doing it where you go through the whole G minus F business, but man, does that look difficult, so I wasn't touching that. Okay, let's move on. Question 4. I have 3 points on a circle. Find the equation of said circle. Now, you can do this the geometry way, where I'll explain the geometry way if you really want. Yeah, go on, I'll explain the geometry way. I'll draw it reasonably accurately, that we won't have to worry too much about what we're doing. Alright, here's what we're doing. 0, 0. Here. 6.5 and 0. So 3, 6, 6.5 and 0 is there. And then 10, 7. Which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 7, like so. Now, I could be cheeky and draw that's your triangle there. And then it's an obtuse triangle, so the circle is going to be outside 3 of them. So I'm going to sort of mess around with this until I make it fit. Sort of. Something like that, okay, is roughly what you're dealing with, okay? Now, the way to do this the geometry approach way. Now, I'm not going to do the geometry approach way today, but I'll nonetheless, I'll explain how you could do it the geometry approach way, whichever way you want. Ugh, Alright, here's what we're going to do. This is A, this is B, and this is C. And the center of the circle, I don't know, is somewhere in here. I think it's somewhere in this region here. Okay, now once again, this is a rough drawing. I'm not expecting it to be accurate, okay? Now what you do is you pick any chord you want. So you can pick the chord BC. See the chord BC? What I'm going to do with BC is I'm just going to get B to C. Alright? Then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to get the midpoint of B to C using the midpoint formula. I get the slope of BC. Yeah, I'm going to get the slope of BC. And then I'm going to get the perpendicular bisector, which will be a line that's in. I'm going to get the formula of the perpendicular bisector, which is the green line. And see the way this line goes through the center of the circle. Okay, so step 1 was slope BC, perpendicular slope 2 BC, midpoint BC, and then equation of turquoise line. So y minus y1 equals m into x minus x1. You could do it that way, and that will get you the equation of the turquoise line. You do the exact same procedure with let's say you could do it with AC or you could do it with AB. It doesn't matter. I might be inclined to do with AC, because the weird thing about AB is that AB actually is a weird line, because AB has a slope of 0, which means its perpendicular bisector is really easy. So what's half of 6.5 is 3.25. So you go across 3.25, and its perpendicular bisector just goes straight up, and it's where the two perpendicular bisectors meet is where the center of your circle is going to be, and then you just do a simultaneous equation to finish this. Sorry, to finish this off, you just do a simultaneous equation, and you're done. But the weird thing about using AB is that you're just going to get the midpoint, which is 3.250, and a vertical line that goes through 3.25 is just simply the line x equals 3.25. You know what? I've done so much of this already that I'm pretty much going to just finish it off at this stage. Yeah, sure, why not? Alright, slope of BC. Well, slope of BC, I'll enter it into the slope formula. Blank minus y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And what we're going to get is y2 can be 7, y1 can be 0, x2 can be 10, and x1 can be 6.5. And what you get is a slope of 2, right? Slope of BC is equal to 2. Perpendicular slope to BC is minus a half. Now, next thing we're going to do is find the midpoint of BC. Well, once again, that's very easy. Add the x values together and divide by 2. 6.5 plus 10. Divide your answer by 2. 33 over 4, or 8.25. So it's going to be 8.25 and half of 0 and 7, which is 3.5. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is find my midpoint. I'm going to do this 2 ways for you. I know, I spoil you. You know, I'm just here to spoil you and make you happy, alright? So, what we're going to get here is we're going to get a. My brain. No. Yeah. It's going to be y. And we know that this green point is 8.25 and 3.5. So what we get here is the point y take away y1, y take away 3.5 equals m, which is minus a half, times x minus 8.25. Going to multiply across by 2, and I'm going to get y minus 7 equals minus 1 into that, which is minus 1x plus 8.25. I'm then going to multiply both sides by 4 just to get rid of the. Actually, I don't even need to multiply both sides by 4. But look, we'll do it anyway. That's what we'd usually do. So 4y minus 28 equals minus 4x. That's going to be plus 33. And then you'd usually get something like 4x plus 4y. 33 plus 28, which is 61. Okay, now 61. Now the deal is that you actually know what 4x is. Because you know x is 3.25. You know that the center of the circle lies on this bisector of 3.25. So you insert 3.25 in for x. So 4 times 3.25 is 13. 13 plus 4y equals 61. And then 4y equals 61 take away 13, which is what are we dealing with there? 48, is it? 4y equals 61. 61 divided by 61 take away 13. 48 divided by 4 is 12. So they're thinking the answer is 12. 3.25 and 12. Well, that's the interesting one. We'll just have a quick look here. So I made a slight mistake here, but I actually found it. When I multiplied across by 2, that's actually 2y. And then when I multiplied both sides by 4, that's actually 8y. And that's 4y plus 8y, which means that's 13 plus 8y. And this means 8y equals 48 and y equals 6. Took me ages to find that one little mistake, caused tons of hassle. So the center of the circle is actually, I was actually pretty accurate with my drawing. The center of the circle is 3.25 and 6. Next thing I would have to do is I'd have to find the radius of the circle. So I can do the radius back to 0, 0. So I'm going to do the distance of the line formula. So d equals square root of x2 x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared, and the radius is going to be what's it, 3.25 take away 0 squared plus 6 minus 0 squared. So I'm going to lob all that into the calculator. 3.25 squared plus 6 squared, and we're going to get root 745 over 4. Awesome. So d equals root 745 over 4. Okay. Now we're going to get the equation of the circle. So the equation of the circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Now it'd be interesting to see how they delivered it they had it all multiplied out in the notes. So if I was like, some people would put the answer like this because they're used to it, as in the center of the circle is 3.25 and 6, as we saw above. So it'd be squared plus y minus 6 squared equals r squared, which would be 745 over 4. But then I think a lot of people would actually tend to multiply this out, so we're going to get x squared minus 6.5x 3.25 squared is 169 over 16. Then plus, what is it, y squared minus 12y plus 36. I'm going to bring that 745 over 4 over the other side. Then I'm just going to put it all into the calculator. I'm going to get x squared plus y squared minus 6.5x. And then I'm going to do minus 12y. Then I'm going to put all those three numbers together here. This one, this one, this one, and see what I get when I throw it all into the calculator. I'm just doing it on my own calculator here, just a little bit quicker. Now, once again, lads, tiny error here. When I squared this out, this is over 16, not over 4. So it's the tiny little mathematical errors. Just me rushing myself is causing me a lot of problems at the moment. So this is over 16. So I'm going to throw that all into my calculator. 169 over 16 plus 36, take away 745 over 16. We get an answer of 0. So this is the equation of our answer, and that's what matches the actual marking scheme. So that's another question done. Now the other way of doing that would have been to do x squared plus y squared plus 2gx plus 2fy plus c equal to 0, and basically replace x and y into the first one, and then you get an equation with just c in it. Then replace x equals 6.5 and y equals 0 into it. You get a second equation, and then x equals 10 and y equals 7. Then you get a third equation, and then when you put all three equations together, you can find out what the g, f, and c values are. That way is much faster, in fact. So, been told I'm not needed downstairs for another couple of minutes, so let's do it anyway. Alright, let's try it the other way. So it's good to have many weapons in your arsenal. You know how to tackle questions in different ways. So sometimes different ways can be a lot easier. So I don't need a diagram this time. Don't need an XY axis. I don't really need to picture it, to be honest. I just need to be able to do the question. Now I'm going to use x squared plus y squared. plus 2gx plus 2fy equals c. I'm going to replace x and y with 0, so I'm going to get 0 squared plus 0 squared plus 2g times 0 plus 2f times 0 plus c equals 0. The c value equals 0. Well, look, that's a great start off. That's our first equation. Next one, we're going to put in x equals 6.5 squared plus 0 squared plus 2gx, which is going to be 2 times 6.5 times g, so that's going to be 13x, 2fy, which is going to be 2f times 0, which is just 0, so that's g, plus c equals 0. Why I did it the other way now. the real bad here, because we're going to get 13g equals minus 6.5 squared, because we know that the c value is 0. So uh, square 6.5 and then bring it over the other side, so it's going to be 6.5 squared. And that's your 169 over 4. And then we're just going to bring it over the other side. So it's going to be minus 169 over 4. Excuse me. Now, when you put this into your calculator, you're now going to find out that the g value is minus that divided by 13, which is 13 over 4, which is 3.25, which is the x value of the center of the circle we had last time. So we know the center of the circle when you're using the GF method. You can see that this is clearly the easier method this time around. And now all we got to do is our last equation, which is inserting the point, 10, 7 into it. We didn't even have to do a triple simultaneous equation. Turned out a lot easier than anybody could have imagined. X squared plus y squared plus 2gx 2fy plus c equals 0. Replace x with 10, so it's going to be 10 squared plus 7 squared plus 2g times 10 plus 2f times 7 plus c, which we all know is 0, equals that. So we're going to get 149 over here. We're going to get 20g, 14f, the c value is 0, and look, we can then use the g value of minus 3.25. So the g value is minus 3.25, so we're going to get 149 plus 20 times minus 3.25 plus 14f equals 0. So throw that into the calculator. 149 plus 20 times minus 3.25. You get 84. Throw that 84 over the other side. So it's going to be 14f equals minus 84. F equals minus 6. That means the center of the circle is 3.25 and 6. So you know your f value is 6, you know your g value is minus 3.25, and you know your c value equals 0. And then all I have to do to finish off this full question, this is much easier than the other method we used, is just throw it all into this. And what you should get is x squared plus y squared 2gx, which would be minus 6.5x, 2fy, multiply f by 2, which is minus 12y, plus 0, and you're done. That was much faster. Okay.